Hello and welcome to the Learning Loop podcast, a space where we explore ideas, experiences, and reflections shaping how we learn, lead, and grow. I'm your host, Amina, and today's conversation is one that feels important. When we talk about challenges in education, like teacher shortages, we often focus on what's happening in the workforce. But what about the experiences before people even enter the profession? Today, I'm joined by a master's researcher in early childhood education whose work explores the well-being of international pre-service teachers, particularly during their studies and placement experiences at uni. In this episode, we'll be unpacking what those early experiences look like, why they matter, and how they might be shaping who chooses to stay or leave the field before their careers even begin. Ariel, it's so lovely to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
Yes, to start us off, I'd love to hear a bit about you. What drew you to early childhood education in the first place?
So I actually started my study during COVID. And before that, I was working in hospitality. And so, of course, everything was pretty dead by that point during COVID. And I was just thinking that I want to maybe upskill and just study a bit more.
Yeah.
And because I've always loved working or just hanging out with children, like my cousins, my friends' children.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, why not if I just study more about children? I wasn't really thinking about working in early childhood or staying in the sector at that point. I was just thinking that I want to learn something while what I could do is stay at home anyway.
That's nice. And what was your undergrad in again?
In hospitality, hotel
That's nice.
management.
Wonderful. So you bring that experience as well. What led you to focus, so speaking about your master's right now, what led you to focus specifically on international pre-service teachers' well-being in your...
So it's pretty much my personal experience. When I was doing my placement, I found that really quite stressful. And although some of the lecture in uni is very helpful or trying to be very helpful, but at the end of the day, it's something that you have to overcome yourself.
Yes.
They can do as much as they can, but at the end of the day, you have to go to the center and do your hours and write the assignment and work with the children yourself. And it's not something that we talk about a lot. And to be honest, I felt a bit isolated, although I know a lot of my friends have similar experience, but they're also just very focusing on completing their own placement. So if we could have more support for students, it's almost what I needed at that time.
Just the fact that you're talking about this right now tells us that you're right in saying that a lot of students experience similar experiences. In the end, we have to do the work ourselves, but not a lot of people talk about it. So the fact that you're talking about it is a good first step in addressing the underlying challenge that all students face. And it can also extend to domestic students, but I, as an international student, would agree that there are additional challenges when it comes to being an international student in a foreign land. But yes, that was very helpful. Yes, of course.
Just because everyone is experiencing the same thing, you have to swallow the stress, and it's like a part of becoming a teacher. I almost have that feeling when I was studying. It's like everyone's doing the same thing and everyone's having the same stress, so you just have to deal with it. That's just a part of becoming a teacher. But honestly, I don't think that's a healthy mindset. People need to know that even though it's a process, you having stress or you being stressful is totally normal. And if there's something that can be done to reduce that stress as much as possible, it should be done. And even just saying it out loud and having that stress being acknowledged, I think it's already important.
Yes, that just reminds me on something I'm working on the side. So I'm a student partner for the course, and I was wondering whether I could create a monthly check-ins with my cohort mates, and we could just touch base on how we're going, how we're feeling, and how we're doing stress-wise or emotionally in the course together. But that just reminded me something. Yes, it's very important for everyone to share. And then stress itself is an underlying, it's something that causes
A lot of problems.
Yes, exactly.
actually lower your performance and you just don't do that well when you're stressed.
Exactly. Was there a particular moment or experience that made you realize this is something I want to explore more deeply, something specific in your course, or was it just the general build-up of stress itself?
I think,
was there a specific moment?
yeah, I think for me, the third placement is the most stressful because I'm very lucky. My first and second placement was really amazing. I heard about terrible stories from my friends, but I was very lucky, and in general, it's really good. But my third placement was really stressful, and that's the long one, the 10 weeks one.
Yes, and it's a 12 credit points.
Yeah. And it's the last push before the graduation. If I fail this, then my whole 2 years
are wasted, or the pressure is just more intense.
It's like a pressure pot or something.
It's like an extra year added to your degree if you don't succeed.
With international student, I think a lot of domestic student or even the lecturer don't realize that if we need to do an extra year, if we failed one subject, that means we need to go through the whole visa applying process.
Yes.
It's stressful, but also it's very expensive.
It is.
Especially now, the student visa cost is very high and you need to redo the health test. And for me, the health test is very expensive. When I was doing it, $600 every time I do it.
Okay.
So that's...
And just for some personal context, what country ethnically do you come from?
I'm from Taiwan.
Wonderful. That's nice to know. I am ethnically Pakistani, but I grew up in the Middle East. Nice to know. Good.
Yeah.
Just focusing in on your research now, when we hear about early childhood teacher shortages, what do you think is the dominant narrative right now?
I think most people, including government or researcher in this sector, they focus very much largely on how to retain teacher, retain who's already working. So a lot of things that newest policy,
That's okay.
There's National Teacher Workforce Action Plan, and in there, there's some key initiative that the government think that it's important to the problem in early childhood shortage, and they have come up with a few policy that they're gonna
implement
to help this problem.
Yeah.
And one of it is reduction funds, which is basically pay you a bit more.
Okay.
But that's already working.
Yes.
And teacher scholarship is for domestic student only, so that's not for international student. And there's also where they just give additional school teacher to help with the classroom, but that again is also focusing on that's already working. So that's pretty much what the sector is focusing on now, is to keep as much teacher as we can. Yeah.
The ones that are already working. So from your answer, I have understood that you touched on the government not really focusing on international students who are graduating as teachers.
Yeah.
And also, they're not focusing on teachers who are entering the workforce.
Yeah.
Or the numbers that are entering. Rather, they're more focused on the ones already existing in the workforce.
Yeah.
From a perspective, why is it important to look at pre-service teachers, not just those already in the workforce?
We look at supply and demand. Yeah, a very big gap between teacher entering the workforce and demand that we needed.
Yes.
Now the government's trying to implement 4-day preschools. It just means that we would need more early childhood teacher. But I think we only have about 2,000 early childhood teacher entering the workforce.
Wow.
I saw somewhere. That's just really not enough. And also if you compared between early childhood teacher versus primary teacher or secondary teacher, there's a big difference. And out of all the teachers, early childhood teacher is in shortage in every state in Australia.
Oh, okay, wow. That's new. I didn't know that.
It's I guess it's just the difference between the gap between supplies and demand.
Yeah. Okay. The next question would be, to guide our conversation, what are some of the common challenges international pre-service teachers face during placements, other than the increased stress we talked about, which is common among all early childhood teaching students? Yes, at university. Okay.
I think during placement especially is very stressful because first you're in a new environment that you've never been in. And basically the expectation is you go in and you know what you're doing, and you need to come up with plans and observation. And for a lot of people, it's not easy, but I think the university expect you to graduate as an ECT, meaning that you need to be able to lead the whole room. So that's the expectation that they put on the student, which I think it makes sense. It's a very important ability to be able to, just interact with the children, but also with your colleague.
Yes.
I think that's one of the stress, where the stress come from is to when you're still learning and you're not that confident, and then you need to go in, and most of the educators have been working for probably longer than you have, more experience than you, and our students are quite young.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people feel it's very hard to do that. And then the second thing is you pretty much have 8 hours workday plus the commute, and you come back home, you have a whole lot of things that you need to write about, like observation each day, one plan each day.
On top of house chores.
I think that's the other thing that international students have to face. Students could still be living at home.
Yes.
And they can come home and, parents are nice, probably the food's cooked, the laundry's done, the house clean. But me, I know when I'm doing placement, I can't really cook or do any house chores, because I would come back home and all I wanted to do is sleep or just finish this whatever I need to write and go to bed. Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen any patterns in how students respond to these challenges in your experience, in your batch? And I am sensing you, I don't want to assume, I'm sorry, but I'm sensing you might have considering the you've chosen for your research. But what patterns exactly have you noticed in response to these challenges?
So during my is actually at a really small cohort that year, because it was COVID. We had 21 students only to start with. But at the end, when I graduated, only 10 actually graduated with me. Some of the others dropped out, and some still studying because they fail 1 or 2 subjects. Yeah, I think that's. And out of that 10 that graduated, a lot of them, I don't know the exact number, didn't actually work in the sector. So that's something that I think it almost makes me frustrated and angry when I working, and I started hearing about all these saying, oh, it's very important, we need to keep the teachers in the sector. And it almost made me frustrated knowing that probably not even the problems, because from my experience, there's only maybe 1/4 of the people that do the degree actually became an early childhood teacher, and that's a bigger problem.
Just to clarify, that's teacher graduating is a bigger problem, or teachers entering the workforce?
I think
not entering the workforce?
I think both. Teacher graduating means we have less teacher that's able to do it, but even if they're able to do it, they might choose not to focus on this, but it's really helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of the time, what I heard, at least my personal experience, a lot of people had said that during placement, oh my gosh, this is so stressful. I don't think I could, only do it 4 weeks for placement. It's already this bad. I don't know if I can do it after graduate full time for a few years. So I think placement is really what set your first impression to the sector. And if that's a bad experience, I had one and first bad experience, but I have this fantasize of the sector and thinks everything would be great when I work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we were to rethink this system, what would a more supportive and positive pre-service experience look like? How would we improve these placement experiences? What are your thoughts on that?
I think we have to realistic and honest. It's gonna be stressful because you are working and studying at the same time, and I'm doing that now. It's still stressful even if it's not placement, just because you have a lot in your plate, and that's just more stressful. But I think what we could reduce the stress from is, I think first we need to look at, it's just my personal experience and research to back this up. Okay. But I think what would have helped me is, find a good center that the student can go to and learn from. And because I do think my last placement, I go to a center that philosophy doesn't really align with what we have been teaching here at school. And that makes me struggle a lot because I would be wanting to do one thing, but then the teacher there would be like, this is not important. Why are you doing this? And it just almost makes me feel I'm doing the wrong thing, following their instructions. And that's just really not helpful.
That clash between what you're doing, action and values.
Yeah. And also I think help support from the school, because I raised this question to the uni. Oh, you could go to additional support or the school counselor. I know about the school counselor, but the additional support part, I didn't realize that, and anxiety can be reason to go to additional support. If you have a broken arm or if you have ADHD or depression or something, if it's just a short time stress and anxiety, you could get support from that, but I didn't know it before I reach out. Yeah.
Good information for me. That's nice to know. I'll share that with my batchmates.
Yeah.
We've talked about different things we can have done at university and in placements, choosing a different center. And would you like to touch on policy and changing policy around? Or would you like to move on to what impact do you hope your research will have in this space?
Probably impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Move on to what impact do you hope your research will have in this space?
I remember having this conversation with Amanda, and
our course director.
Yes, she's my lead supervisor, and Wendy, and
Wendy is another lecturer in early childhood and also student life advisor in the course.
Yes, and Amanda said something that really touched me. She said that reading what I wrote that time makes people almost giving a space for people to be heard. That really touched me because I think that's the whole reason that I wanted to start this research. I wasn't heard, or my voice doesn't matter when I was doing my placement. So doing this research, I just really wanted to hear what people have to say, and hopefully from I've collected, able to come up with some support system implemented from the student.
I am a little curious as to what exactly are you conducting your research?
Oh, so my research is going to be interviewing students after their second placement, and I using the Bronford-Brenner's psychological system model, 5 levels or layers, closest your personality to have direct interact with. And for each, I just have a few questions that's related to placement stress. You find your relationship with your lecturer or your classmate have experience during placement, and hopefully from that I could what they think contribute most to their stress and what they think is most supportive. It's repeating things that keep coming up. From that
can be noted in the research. What gives you hope when you contemplate the future of early childhood education?
I think when I've talked briefly to people about my research, everyone's reaction is positive, and they all agree that it's something needed focus on. Even I've talked to a few students when we had the meetings, the meetup. A lot of people had reaction. They think that it's important, or that's also something that they were stressed about. So for my research, I think it's a good response that people do think that it's important. Yeah, and
just the meetup that Ariel mentioned, I'd like to clarify that was between first year and second year Master of Teaching in Early Childhood students. So it was different batch students, and some of them were coming with 2 to 3 placement experiences. Others were just the 1 placement experience for now. And they shared an understanding of, the stress that impacts all of them. But yes.
Yeah.
And maybe to end on a reflective note, what does it mean to truly support someone becoming an educator?
It's the same with what we should be doing with the children. Knowledge and accept their emotion, their stress. You don't tell the children, stop crying. That's not a big deal. It might be small for us, but right now you are having big emotion over that.
And we validate.
Yeah.
We don't suppress.
I think that's very important for everyone. And I said a lot of people would think that, oh, it's just placement. Everyone needs to do it. Why are you so stressed over it when it's a normal thing or part of it? But that's not true. You can be stressed and your stress should be seen.
Thank you so much, Ariel, for sharing your insights and experiences so thoughtfully. I think what really stands out from this conversation is the reminder that supporting educators doesn't begin when they enter the workforce. It begins much earlier in how we nurture, guide, and value them during their learning journey. This is a reminder that systems we build around education shape not just outcomes but people, their confidence, their sense of belonging, and their decision to stay. Thank you for being part of this learning loop. Until next time.
Thank you.
That's all right.